Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Agile Network India's July 2021 events. And now we are beginning with the next session by our Noida chapter about best practice for remote hiring. And we have an amazing panel discussion we are looking forward to. We have Devyani Sinha, who is Vice President, Human Resources in a leading organization, moderating this panel. And then we have Prabhanjan Prasoon, who's Head of Talent Acquisition at Sopra Steria, and Shagun Gunjal, who is Associate Director HR at Magic EdTech. And we are looking forward to this discussion. But before we begin the discussion, I would like to thank our founding sponsors, Innovation Roots, which is a leading consulting and training service provider, helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. You can find out more details at www.innovationroots.com. And I would like to thank our sponsor, Gile, which is a product offering from Tata Consultancy Services Limited. It is a purely cloud-based enterprise agile planning tool along with DevOps capabilities. Enterprises can use Gile to adopt agile practices or scale across multiple Scrum and Kanban teams using enterprise scaling frameworks such as SAFe, Disciplined Agile, Less and More. You can find out more details about the demo and you can reach out to us to set up an exclusive product demo with the Jai team. And simple do's and don'ts for the participants. Use high quality speakers and headphones for better sound quality. Keep yourself muted throughout the event and keep your videos disabled. At any point you have questions for the panelists, please put your questions in the chat box at the end. The moderator will pick the questions from the chat box and will take up the number of questions as per the time available in the hand. And at the end of the event, as you have been seeing, you will find a feedback form in the chat. Please spare a couple of minutes to fill in the details to help us improve in the future events. And with that, I would like to welcome our panelists for the day for Noida chapter and would like to begin with this interesting discussion.
Thank you, Nupur. Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome once again and greetings. I am welcoming you all for the next session where Nupur has already introduced. We would like to talk about the remote hiring. And I'm very keen to learn from our esteemed panelists. But before that, let's see and get to know our panelists. So we have Prasun with us.
So Devyani,
If you can just talk about yourself for a few words.
okay, thank you, Devyani. I thought you will start with yourself first, and then probably you can hand it over to me. No worries. So let me, give my a quick introduction. My name is Pravanjan Prasoon, uh, normally known as Prasoon because it's easy to pronounce, and I'm heading talent acquisition in Sopra Steria. Uh, it's been 9.5 years since I'm working with this organization, and prior to that, I was working with Birlasoft. Uh, Apart from recruitment, there are a few more things which interests me a lot, like music. So I'm also a bachelor of music and love cooking and traveling as well. That's what I am, Devyani and everyone. Thank you very much.
Great, Prasun. Thanks a lot. Now we have the next panelist, Shagun. Shagun, please, can we have you on the camera? Yes, Shagun.
Okay, all right. So good evening, everyone, and thanks for having me here as a panelist in this discussion today. I'm Shagun, and I'm working as an associate director HR in Magic EdTech since past 3.5 years now. I overall have like 16 years of experience in the industry now, and I've got a chance to kind of contribute in the space of human resource across very different industries: IT, telecom, and the KPO segment. Thoroughly enjoy this piece, which is human resource, and I hope I'm able to give you some takeaways or probably some of the learnings that I have with me, and hopefully this session is going to be a beneficial one for all of you. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you, Shagun. And coming back to me, I am Devyani, and I am the moderator for this session for you, all of you. I'm having a 20 plus years of experience in the area of HR, where I've handled every part and every gamut of HR. and you will experience me more in this particular session in next 40-45 minutes. Okay, so going back to remote hiring, a topic of interest for not only organizations, but also a topic of interest for candidates. It can benefit us as an organization by bringing in the skills which are scarce in a particular location. At the same time, it benefits employees by offering the option to pursue a job they really want to without the constraint of relocation. This pandemic gives us this opportunity to explore the remote hiring to the core. But at the same time, this pandemic not only brings this opportunity of remote hiring, it brings many more opportunities, and out of which we are going to talk about only the remote hiring today. Moving to Prasun, how was the situation of remote hiring pre-pandemic, and I will not say post-pandemic because it is yet not over, but yes, now.
Thank you, Devani. Thanks for this question. Uh, so, let me talk about my industry. I come from an IT industry, and in this industry, remote hiring was there. I think from last almost 10 years, at least I have experienced. But yeah, you know, if you talk about pre-pandemic situation, it was 5 to 10%. Now it is 100%, and it happened overnight. In fact, I remember in 2020, in beginning of March, we we moved from 5 to 10% to 100% remote hiring in just 2 days, and that's what it was expected. So yes, the acceptance was not too much of remote hiring earlier, uh, and today the acceptance is absolutely 100% today. Acceptance means acceptance from the candidate, acceptance from the delivery leaders, acceptance within the industry. There were a lot of ifs and buts which were there in the mind of people when it used to come about remote hiring. But I think, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, this pandemic brought that mindset change, and now people strongly believe in remote hiring, and it's not only in IT industry, it's happening in almost every industry today. So there's a, I would say, complete shift in the hiring process, and remote hiring is the key in today's situation.
Absolutely, Prasul. So as you said that it's an absolute shift from 5 to 10% to probably 95 to 100% in terms of remote hiring. But Prasul and Shagun, this question goes to both of you that as an organization, we still have experienced 5 to 10% or 15% remote hiring, even if it was pre-pandemic. But what do you think that what is an experience of a candidate in terms of a remote hiring, especially freshers who never understand or never underwent an interview as a remote interview where he is not able to see the interviewer in front of him? So what do you feel that what is his experience in terms of a remote hiring?
Yeah, so interesting question, and a very relevant one too. So I believe, in fact, Devyani, that it is easier for freshers, to adapt to this change. And the reason I say so is because if you look at, the way the year has been, or 1.5 years have been for them in the campus too, everything is remote. Okay, everything has become remote, so they are already, in the grind, or they're already in the process of change. So for them to quickly adapt to a change like this is far more easier to someone who's oriented in in older ways, right? So it's easier for them. But yeah, of course, a face-to-face interaction, cannot really be kind of done away with in a jiffy. Of course not. But then I think it's easier for the freshers. But and also there's a lot of responsibility on the employers to kind of make it very easy and effective for them. Okay, so and when I say so, how is it that an employer can do something like that? Like from the very first stage, it has to be a video call. Okay, and we have to really get out of that traditional way of calling people up or interviewing people up through phones and and such mediums, right? So I think very first discussion where you are connecting with a probable candidate, can be a fresher or a lateral one. It has to start from a face-to-face connect, of course, using technology, So I think adaptation from a fresher point of view is easier, and yeah, we have to make it easier for them as an employee. Yeah, yeah. So that's my perspective on this.
Great, great, Shagun. So, Prasun, what do you think? And an experienced candidate with an experience of, let's say, 25 years plus, who suddenly lands up into a virtual mode and who has to face an interview, the entire end-to-end interview on a virtual mode. What is your experience in terms of adaptability of that person of a virtual interview compared to a fresher who is just going to be a pass out of a college or who has already done his 2 years in a virtual mode, at least 1.5 years? How do you feel, and what is your experience in terms of adaptability of those kind of lateral hires, very senior lateral hires?
Yeah. So Devyani, again, I would say, it's a mixed one. Some people adapted this very positively, and they are very happy about it. Because when you talk about lateral, in this current situation, people are sitting at different locations, and it's very easy to connect and complete the entire process in this remote environment. But there are a lot of things, when you talk about senior hiring or very senior lateral hiring. I think one thing, as per my experience, one thing which is absolutely missing is that the connect on EI side, because it's very important to have a fair understanding in terms of the emotional intelligence. And I think what I feel is, it's slightly difficult to establish that, through the virtual mode. So in the physical mode, when you are discussing, face to face, there are a lot of things, which comes in. Uh, I think mm, the remote hiring becomes, I would say, too much of formal. Sometime a mix of some sort of informal discussion during that process with especially senior lateral hiring is also very very important. That brings a lot of different aspect in terms of leadership and few other things. So now when it comes to the acceptance from the people, the lateral people, it's very high. uh, Acceptance from the organization perspective, I would say it's 50-50. That's what my
Oh, great.
understanding and experience is.
So what, if I understood you, you mean to say that the generally the candidates are, they are reactive in a positive way, but organization after the interview may or may not be so comfortable because the body language, especially for a senior person, and that EQ part, which we try to gauge in a face-to-face interview, is missing. Right. Thank you, Prasun. Thank you very much. And next question goes to Shagun, where I would like to understand from you, Shagun, that uh, it becomes a norm. The remote hiring becomes a norm these days, and I don't know how long it is going to be norm until unless we are absolutely coming out of this pandemic situation. So cost is one of the very, very important factor when we talk about hiring. So what do you think? How cost effective is a remote hiring?
Um, okay. So I think, not just remote hiring. If you look at it, the cost of hiring, it really increases if you end up hiring a bad one, in the organization, be it if, remote hiring or, in the other way that we used to do earlier. I think from a cost of hiring perspective, it's a mixed bag. Okay. There, of course, immediately in the short term, the organizations like Prasoon was mentioning that it's very difficult to find out the EQ of a person because you're just not interacting with them face to face. And so a lot of organizations are now investing in changing their methodology of recruitment or hiring people, and bringing in a lot of intelligent tests. Okay. Probably to gauge certain aspects which used to be earlier taken care of in the one-on-one discussion. So a lot of investment has already started happening in these tools, okay, across organizations. So yes, it's going to be like organizations will have to pump in money to change their approach to make in making this effective. But I think in longer run it is going to even out. So because the kind of impact it will generate, because this is going to be there now for long. If you look at all the articles, or or if you follow what most of the organizations are doing, remote working will stay, remote hiring will stay, and it's there for long. Okay, so now what percentage is something that time will tell, but then it's there for long. So I think from a cost perspective, it may look to be a little expensive right now because you are investing in tools and other things, but in the longer run, it will even out. And if you're able to hire the right people through these tools, it will be in a better off situation, in fact. So I think that's my view on this one. Yeah.
So probably if we are able to do a right hiring, if we are able to save the organization from the damage of a wrong hiring with the help of the tools as well as from the measures which we take in remote hiring, end of the day the cost is going to be we are going to save the cost instead of what we were going to do in a face-to-face hiring. This is what I understand. Prasun, would you like to add upon anything over here?
No, I think Shagun has touched upon the very right point that now all the organizations are investing a lot of money in different tools. In terms of psychometric assessments, whether it is technical assessment, etc. And especially a lot of things are also going in loss of cost also going into the video interviewing. So a lot of tools, which is helping in the overall remote hiring process. The cost is associated with that, but of course, in a long run, it's definitely going to be helpful.
Okay, great. So we all know that India is after the boom of the IT, India became one of the main hub in terms of, we call it unfortunately labor, but end of the day, that is what we call that we have a pool available for work, which is probably one of the biggest pool which is available in the world. And India being a very diversified kind of a country, this pool is available scattered all around the country, from very south to north to east to west. So my next question goes to probably it will interest our participants who are of the younger lot more, that how do we penetrate or recruit in the remote areas in India? What kind of untapped talent available across the country? Are you as an organization able to tap those talent which are available in the corners of our country with the help of this remote hiring? Question goes to Prasun, please.
Very relevant question, Devyani, in this time. I think it's not so easy, to penetrate even the remote areas nowadays. But of course, uh, if I compare the pre-pandemic situation and today's situation, I think today we are in a far better situation to penetrate more and more, in remote areas. One thing I think I'll talk about a couple of things which are very important, and some of things probably we could also implement. One is developing a very strong EVP. That employee value proposition is very important, because in if I talk about my organization especially, we have a good branding in the tier 1 cities, but when it goes to tier 2 or tier 3, I think that brand value is still needs to be established. And it's not only about my organization, I think it's there for most of the organizations. So one, of course, developing a strong EVP, then and what is what is there in that organization for me. If we are able to answer that question of the candidate of remote areas, I think then we are definitely able to tap a lot of talent which are available there. And let me answer your second question, which is what kind of untapped talent available there across the country. Let me tell you, it's you know it's amazing talent which is available in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which we were not able to tap earlier. So I think one is this strong EVP. Second is, every organization should have a passive candidate strategy. How can we tap those people who are not actively seeking for a job change. And especially it had helped me a lot in hiring niche skills, because when you have very limited pool in the tier 1 cities, you go to tier 2 tier 3 cities and for those niche skills, and you are able to get those pool from that. So I think every organization should have a very strong, very good passive candidate strategy, how to tap more and more. And again, I had already talked about building a brand is also very key. So I think these are few things which are very, very important from tapping a talent from the remote areas perspective.
For the benefit of the candidates who are there in tier 2 and tier 3 kind of a cities, Prasoon, if you can just touch upon how is your organization reaching out to those areas, that will really help. Or
So,
in the organization, in the industry, how organizations are reaching out to those areas.
So there are two, three things. One is of course, you need to have a very targeted strategy in terms of, doing the job posting, taking help of multiple vendors who are specialists in those areas. For example, if you are going to Vizag, or if you're going to Indore, or if you're going to Lucknow, maybe you'll have to, do a partnership with the local, strong vendors who can help you in establishing, a good candidate pool from that particular area. So that's one thing. Second is also, on social media. So I think social media is playing a very key role now. And through social media, you can reach to any part of the country. So again, you need to strategize how you can reach in southern area, northern area, northeast area. I think that strategy also needs to be developed. So I think these two are the main key things through which you can go to the and attract those talents from that areas.
So yeah, absolutely. So during this pandemic, we have found and we have experienced many third-party vendors who are helping us in reaching to those areas. Shagun, would you like to touch upon this if you have anything to add on?
Yeah, I think EVP is something that I completely agree on, and I agree with what Prasoon mentioned. And I just want to add something here. So see, uh, you know, uh, so from a tapping perspective, I think the first and the foremost thing is to kind of find out the skills which are available in that market, in that tier 2, tier 3 city, right? Because if you really want to create your strategy, it has to be around the skill pool which is available there, and the skill pool which can be developed, right? So the first step, of course, is that, and I think a lot of organizations are already doing it, and my organization is doing that too, Magic EdTech. So the first thing is to understand what's the skill pool there, then to of course take an approach and target that untapped area, and to do so while we take help of the local vendors. I think there is one more thing, which is social media, that Prasoon talked about. I think it plays a very, very key role, because see, if you look at it, earlier when we used to interview people, people used to come to our office setup and see and get a sneak peek of the culture. So they would try to assess the organization by the way they are greeted, by the way they are made to kind of wait for the interview, the time it used to take, and all of that, right? So they used to get a sneak peek of the of the culture of the organization, which you cannot really show to anyone now, right? So be it from a small city or a big one. So I think the one of the very key thing is to kind of give a sneak peek of the culture of the organization on social media, because people access that, and I think that's one way where organizations need to put in more and more effort and attract people and show them what they are, right? I think that of course is going to help in attracting talent from all the cities that we want to target, within or outside the country. So I think that's what I would like to add.
Absolutely, absolutely, Shagun. Very, very rightly touched upon, and probably that is what has fueled this talent war, which we can
Yeah.
see this, which is happening in the especially in the IT industry. It is happening in a big way, and
Yeah.
probably now it is the organization's turn to sell themselves in a remote way. How beautifully they are able to provide and kind of an EVP, which talent gets attracted, because probably for the talent now the options are multiple in this industry, right? Moving to my next question is that what kind of best practices you people follow, which can help all of us to recruit very, very effectively and efficiently? Question goes to Prasoon, and absolutely, if Shagun would like to answer it.
Yeah. So I think one thing which anyways we talked about earlier, that is the candidate experience. The candidate experience is absolutely key. And from the first touch point till onboarding and beyond onboarding as well. how a candidate is getting the experience, that is something which matters a lot in this remote hiring environment. As you said, Devyani, nowadays the whole market is candidate centric. People are getting offers from multiple organizations. How and what would be one thing which is going to define a differentiation in the market? Of course, apart from the culture and all those stuff, one thing is which candidate is experiencing through the entire recruitment process. So that matters a lot. Hence, in especially in remote, hiring, it's very essential the kind of experience a candidate is getting from the first touch point till onboarding and beyond that. I think that's one thing, and we are putting a lot of emphasis on that from Sopra Steria perspective. Another point, which I would like to mention here is post-offer engagement. And of course, in this remote environment, it's slightly more, I would say, better because you can reach out to people, remotely. So how you engage with them? So like if I may give example of Soprasteria, we do a lot of pre-joining orientation sessions with the candidates. We do get interaction set up done with some of the leaders in that specific technology in which that person is going to work. So that's one thing which is also very important in this remote hiring environment. Then one more thing which is very key is putting a robust validation in place at each stage of recruitment process. Um, for example, if the person is moving from first level to second level of interview, second to third level of interview, and onboarding, I think at each level there has to be a very robust validation process to avoid any sort of fraudulent in the process. uh, that's very important. And again, the fourth point which I will relate to the candidate experience, that respecting the time, respecting time of the candidate as well as your internal panel members who are part of your organization. I think this is also something which is very key. So these are few I would say best practices which we follow from a remote hiring perspective, Devyani. Thank you.
Great, great. Shagun, would you like to add upon?
Yes, I think while Prasoon has already mentioned a lot of pointers here. Yeah, so from my end, I think, like I was mentioning earlier, the first and the foremost thing that we are doing in our organization, to make this more effective is, the first touch point, which is, of having the recruiter having an interaction with the person, has to be, through a video call. Okay, I mean, it cannot really be on any other medium, because the person will be experiencing the organization. That's the first point of interaction, right? That's the first point of engagement, right? So I think, that's one practice that we are following across. And and the second one is that as a panel, when the person gets interviewed by panel, it's very important that, while we of course ensure that the interviewee, has switched on the camera, and we are able to ascertain that the person is the, right one, we are interviewing the right person. It's equally important for the interviewer as well to kind of show the face, interact, and get it going. So I think that's another point. The other aspect I want to put in here, which our organization is actually kind of doing as of now, while we all are saying that all of us are equipped to do remote working, hire remotely and work remotely, let me tell you, a lot of us still are struggling to get that done in a very effective manner. Okay, so yeah, and that often leads to burnout and other things, right? And which the industry is experiencing right now. I think there is no I mean, we should, it is something which is very apparent. So now, I think, one thing that we've done at Magic EdTech is that we have, there are psychometric tests around remote working as well, to assess whether at all the person that you are about to hire or you're wanting to hire is capable enough to adapt to this kind of a working process and thereby be successful in the organization, right? So there are psychometric tests like that, which if you look at it, I mean, they may basically revolve around whether at all you can take the task to closure independently. Can you work in a silo kind of an arrangement? Can you work under stress conditions? right? So I think these are some very important changes which are happening, and we've invested in this to kind of make it more effective, because I think it's important for the person to know whether at all he or she can do it, and for the organization employer to know it as well. So I think a couple of things that we are kind of doing and experimenting with, and I'm sure that this is going to give us results.
Oh, great. Good to know. Good to know, Shagun. Shagun would like to understand that. Do you feel that there is a flip side of remote hiring also?
Flip side, yes. Every coin has a flip side, and I'm sure this one too. It's a mixed bag, right? So I think remote hiring. See, what happens is the flip side is that it's very difficult to assess the seriousness of the person, or the authenticity of the person who's appearing for the first round of interviews. Because today I can sit and be in my casuals and take an interview while I'm working in an organization. I need not take a day off. Okay, so what it does is it makes it far more easier for people to shop for jobs. Okay, and that window shopping is increasing. I would use that word. Right? That window shopping is increasing, and it's increasing at an immense pace, right? So I think that's the flip side for an organization or an employer to know whether at all the person that you are interacting with is actually keen on or interested in you as an employer. And that's a big point, and I think that's why most of the IT organizations are seeing a huge dropout. Okay, there's a the dropout ratios have gone up, because we really do not know whether the person is just window shopping or is really interested in kind of taking up the job that you have to offer. Okay, so I think that's one point which I feel needs to be tackled, and probably because it's a big change, it's coming out now, but it's going to settle down because employers will also find a way to assess that. But yeah, this is one side which is emerging. From a flip side point of view, as to how to really interview people and get them on board, right? So I think that's important. Also, even when people on board, they end up moving out of the organization in a day or two. Everything is virtual. Onboarding is virtual. Everything has gone virtual just because it has to be that way, right? So the human connect, has reduced. And so the person feels all the more comfortable to kind of come, get onboarded, and then move out of the organization in a day or two. He doesn't have to face anyone, right? So I think I think that's something that I think IT organizations are currently struggling with, and it's not a story of one organization, but most of them. And they are in a they are in a war to kind of get people with the right skills at the right time. And it is a war right now, let me tell you that. It's a war for skills, getting the right people, and every employer is searching for that. So I think yes, these are certain flip sides that I have observed, in the past 1 year or so, and let's see how it goes.
Thank you, Shagun. You have touched upon a very, very interesting side where absolutely that in a recent article where I've seen that especially in IT, there are organizations who has witnessed an attrition of 31%, 32% in last 1 quarter. At the same time, whereas the attrition is 31%, the defaulter ratio of the candidates whom we have rolled out the offer is going beyond 60%, 65%. So I'm also very surprised that if the attrition is 31, 32%, and the defaulter is 70%, 60%, where are the candidates going actually? So a very interesting, very, very interesting data to look upon in the industry. And as very correctly mentioned by Shagun, that probably this trend is going to end because organization will also end of the day try to find out ways and means to protect that, because it is incurring a huge loss indirectly, non-financially. I will not directly call it a financial loss, but yes, it is absolutely touching up non-financial, increasing the non-financial loss of an organization. Prior, when you used to call one wrong hiring used to cause us so much of damage, whereas right now we are calling that so much of wrong probably rolling out of offer is, I don't know, causing damage of how much in proportion. With this, I will move on to my next question, where I think that we will be definitely out of this pandemic in the days to come, whether it is 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 1 year. We really don't know, but yes, we will definitely be out of this pandemic. Prasun, what do you think that when we are out of this pandemic and when we are probably fully operational from office, or at least 60-70% operational from office, will the face of remote hiring is going to change, or it is going to remain the same the way it is right now?
So, so if you ask me, I would say it won't change much. The remote hiring is going to remain there. The only difference would be maybe it may decrease by 5%, 10%. It depends on one industry to another industry. But primarily, it will not change. Rather, industries, or companies will adapt themselves, more towards, remote hiring. I think before giving more answers to this question, I would like to touch upon few points which Shagun and you have mentioned, Devyani, about the flip side of remote hiring. One thing is, of course, the dropout post offer. So post offer dropout is close to 55-60%, and the candidates are swapping from one to another organization. The culture is not getting established even after joining. A lot of issues in I would say technical glitches, technical issues in terms of the remote hiring, logistics of virtual interviews. I think there are a lot of things which are the flip side of remote hiring. In spite of that industry will find out a solution rather than moving away from it. So my understanding is that it's going to be there. The only maybe may diminish by 5 to 10% depending on one to another industry. So and one more thing, we should not forget, because even after this pandemic situation, uh, we are not going to be in a back to the normal working model. It's going to be hybrid model in most of the companies, and in hybrid working model, you need to have remote hiring. So we can't go completely away from remote hiring, and I think uh, it's going to be remaining there in the industries.
So do you think that the face of the remote hiring will also be in a hybrid model?
Yes, definitely. So it may happen that, okay, if a candidate is going to three interviews, maybe two will happen virtually, one physical. uh, if the person is not available in the same location, then it's going to be completely virtual. So it's going to be a mixed one.
And how do you think, you and Shagun think that after we are post-pandemic, once we open up in a fully operation model or in a hybrid model, people whom we are targeting from the remote locations, what kind of arrangement the industry will look forward in terms of making them work from home or making them come to office? Because we are talking about catering to tier 2 and tier 3 cities to tap the talent which we have still not able to tap. I mean, when we were not in a remote hiring as well
Yeah.
as not in a remote working.
So I think it depends how companies are thinking about it. But I'm sure once you start hiring from tier 2, tier 3 cities, before hiring itself, you need to have some strategy in back of the mind that how you are going to have your working model in the future. So one thing could be like maybe some percentage of people can work completely in a work from home model. There could be some set of people who can partially come to office and partially work from home, and there could be some set of people who would be completely working from office. So this could be a mixed way of managing the entire workforce. So so if, let's say, for example, if Sopra Steria is hiring somebody from Indore, or somebody hiring from Vizag, where we don't have any office, and we know that after 6 months we are going to be in a hybrid mode, then we'll have to have provide some sort of solution to those people whom we have hired from those cities. We can't ask them after 6 months or 5 months that, okay, now the pandemic is over, now you need to come back to Noida, or Bangalore, or Chennai. So it
Right,
has to be mixed.
right, Prasun, right. So while discussing this particular remote hiring, there is one idea or one question which popped in my mind. Shagun, the kind of trend which is there in the industry currently, especially in the IT industry, which is the attrition trend, which is going much beyond our imagination. Do you think there is a linkage of remote hiring and this high attrition?
So, I would say a yes and a no, maybe. I mean, if I talk about my own organization, I have not seen that kind of a spike in, in attrition, and we call it basically, we've been able to maintain the retention percentage or the targeted retention percentage. So that's a good thing. Though, of course, there are pockets where, we are seeing talent leakage, and we are, trying to see how can we stop that. Like all organizations, we also have those pockets, right? Um, mm, but I believe that this is not the only reason for people to be kind of moving out at a faster pace from organizations. If you look at the attrition trend, it's just that it has to be handled nicely. Okay, this entire arrangement of hiring remotely, absorbing them remotely has to be handled nicely. I do not see a direct linkage between the two, that the attrition percent, it will be wrong on our part to say that the attrition is going off the roof because we've started hiring people remotely. This is not the only factor. Okay, there are a lot of other factors too. Maybe this is contributing a little more than the others. Maybe it will stabilize in the future, but this is not the only factor which is leading to it. In fact, my experience, if you look at it, people, I mean, of course, you'll have certain people who will come and go in a day or two. Okay, you can't stop that, and that used to happen earlier also. But majority of the people, in my experience, what I've seen is, if you're able to engage them well in the first 6 months, they're there for you. They're there
Great.
for you.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
think it doesn't really matter whether at all you've hired them remotely or you've hired them from a remote location. They're there with you. If they are enjoying their work, they're taking pride in the organization that they're working for, and they're trusting you, they're there with you. Okay, so people are staying on. This is not contributing to attrition, and at least in my view, this is not the only factor which is contributing to attrition.
Thank you, Shagun. So, Prashwan, your views, please.
My view is I think it's going to decrease rather, because when you're hiring from remote area, and you're hiring virtually, people have more options to work from different locations. So I think that's going to be on the plus side. Yes, but at the same time, I think, Sagun, you have touched upon a very important point, that if you're able to establish and maintain a company culture in the employee, then that person is going to stay long term. And I think linkage to high attrition, I don't see.
Very interesting. Well, I must say that views are quite interesting. And with this, I am going to touch upon what we have, what our esteemed panelist has touched upon. So we found that prior pandemic, where there was 5 to 10% of remote hiring used to happen, right now the organization has started viewing 100%, 99 to 100%. They have started remote hiring with, and which is continuing right now. From the candidate's perspective, whereas the panel feels that the campus are more comfortable in terms of remote hiring, whereas the lateral hires are also comfortable in terms of remote hiring, whereas the organization are in terms of a 50-50 kind of thing when it comes to a very senior person hiring remotely. The cost of hiring is again a mixed bag, where maybe it is expensive to start with, and in the days to come it will go down, or on the contrary, in some of the organization it is less expensive, and in the days to come it is going to be higher to hire a person remotely. Both of the panelists has agreed that the EVP is one of the very, very important factor to attract talent, because we all understand and we all acknowledge that there is a talent war which is going on right now, and it is up to the organization that how well they are able to sell themselves and able to touch upon the expectations of the candidate, what they are looking forward for in an organization, especially when we are trying to tap upon the tier 2 and tier 3 candidates who were a big talent pool which were untapped till now. Talent candidates experience for post-offer engagement, respect for time, and respect for both the candidate as well as interviewer time are the few factors which came out from this discussion, which are the key factors for that for follow the best practices of remote hiring. Also, there are a flip side of remote hiring where we talked about the EQ part, where we are not able to see the body language, where we are not able to understand the interest level, the seriousness of the candidates, the some candidates who are doing a kind of window shopping, where at the same time they are doing they are they are working at the organization, and at the same time they are also facing the interview kind of thing. So that is becoming a really a difficult task to understand how serious the candidate is all about. With this, I would like to take upon the questions which are there in the chat box, and the question is from Prashant, who would like to know that is the CTC for a candidate dependent on their remote location if they wish to continue work from home. I think we used to have a higher percentage of basic of HRA in Mumbai as an example earlier. Prasun, would you like to take this question?
Yeah. So thanks, Prashant, for asking this question. I think it's very relevant when you talk about working from anywhere. I think it won't have much impact. And of course, we don't know, how different organizations are going to take in the future. But at least based on my experience interacting with multiple leaders within the industry, it's not getting impacted as of now. But of course, maybe there could be a correction in the future.
Right. To add upon that, many of the organizations are following a practice of a kind of a home location work from home. So whichever location you were hired for, your salary structure will be based on that. And probably that will help to answer your question. I will move to the next question, which is from Suresh, and I would request Shagun to answer the question. How do you find this remote working setup impacted on-site offshore work?
Interesting. Yeah. So on-site offshore work, I mean, I think the person who's put up the question is basically trying to understand the interaction part, right? Of on-site and onshore because of the remote working. I think if you look at the coordination part or the interaction between the two, different geographies that people are working on, they in any case were working remotely. So I think, those processes and that model was already established, right? So I think there is no issue there. But yes, if I look at it, that if let's say India is a delivery center, like we have a delivery center here in India, and we are headquartered in New York. So and our sales and solutions team is based out of there, or our customers are based out of US, right? So what happens is that while there will be no issues in terms of interaction between the India team, Magic India team, and let's say the client, but then internally for the team based in India, to connect. So is anyone saying anything? I think there was I heard something. Okay,
Maybe
okay,
there's
maybe.
some background noise.
Sure. So I think a team coordination, it is something that is to be looked at. But I think people have adapted to that as well. So there is no such. I don't see in my experience. We've not seen any any challenges there. Okay. Between on-site and offshore interaction due to this post-pandemic kind of a situation. No, we've not seen that.
I see.
Thank you, Shagun. Hope this answers your question, Suresh.
Bana बैठ के था just in case.
And with this, I'll move to the last question. Is remote hiring going to stay for longer?
Oh yeah, I mean, I would want to add something here. I think we have tasted blood, and it will stay for long because the kind of skills, because this as an employer gives me a chance to tap into the areas that we've never been able to tap. That's one. It has given me a chance to add more diversity to my workforce. I would sitting in Noida as an organization, I would not be limiting myself to hiring people from Noida. I can, get a person or talent from, Mumbai, Pune, or any other city, and can add more diversity to my organization. And when I say diversity, I mean, and more the diversity, better it is for the organization in times to come. So I think in that scenario, I think it has given us a chance forcibly, of course, but I think it's given us a chance to kind of work on these areas, and it's not going to, it's going to be there in the industry now. The percentage will vary, whether it all, 40, 50, whatever be the percentage, but it will not go away. No, it will not. This is my view.
Thank you very much, Shagun. Thank you very much, Prasun. We have overshooted the time by 2 minutes. With this, we are at the end of the session. Thanks a lot. Thank you, lovely audience.